Please rise while the colors are posted. And salute. Former Congressman Michael McNulty will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Brooke Albert will lead us in prayer. Thank you. You may be seated. Good morning. I'm Tim Forbes, the chairman of the Rensselaer County Honor a Deceased Veteran Committee. We've gathered here this morning to honor a deceased Rensselaer County veteran of the month of July, and that veteran is Robert D. Smith. We were honored to have with us this morning his family. We have Pam Smith, his daughter, James Smith, Robert Smith, and Donald Smith, sons. We have his grandson, Gabriel Smith. We have a granddaughter, Victoria Schoenborn. We have a niece and nephew, Jean and Tom Ralston. And we have Brick and Vicki Rosen, a great niece. Thank you all for being here. Also with us today to honor our Veteran of the Month are the Rensselaer County Executive, Stephen McLaughlin, Mark Manick Elia from Congressman Paul Tonko's office, representing the 19th Congressional District, Max Prime, former Congressman Michael McNulty, representing Daphne Jordan, New York State Senator, Haley Northrup, New York State Assemblyman Jake Ashby. We have the Legislative Veterans Committee, Kenneth Harrington. He's also the chairman of that committee. We have the Rensselaer County Court Judge, Deborah Young. From the Waterville Arsenal, we have Mr. Matt Day. Our legislators that are present, Dan Casal, Mark Fleming, Tom Grant, and Kenneth Harrington. If I missed anybody, I'm sorry. As we are all aware, Memorial Day and Veterans Day are special days to remember all of our veterans. This program was created to help us honor our veterans all year round. To us here in Rensselaer County, every day is Veterans Day. The Rensselaer County Honor a Deceased Veteran Program represents veterans organizations throughout the entire county. This includes members of the American Legion, the Disabled American Veterans, the Veterans of Lansingburg, the Military Order of Purple Heart, the Marine Corps League, the Veterans of Foreign Wars, the Korean War Veterans, Tri-County Council Vietnam-era Veterans, Combat Veterans Motorcycle Association, the Vietnam Veterans of America, AMVETS, and our own Rensselaer County Veteran Service Agency with Lonnie right here. I will now ask our Rensselaer County Chairman to come forward to tell us about our honored Veteran of the Month, Robert D. Smith.
Good morning. As said, I'm Kenny Harrington. I'm the majority leader of the legislature and also serve as chair of the Veterans Committee. Our chairwoman, Kelly Hoffman, couldn't be here today, and Vice Chair Bob is away on business, so you get what you got. I would like to say thanks to the fellas that make this thing a success each and every month here. Without you guys, it wouldn't be what it is. And I'd like to say our good old stalwart up there, Congressman McNulty, I don't think he ever misses one of these. I always think when I look and see you come in, I always think of the saying, we all should remember, and you have used this many a time, that our freedom is not free. You know, you stop and think, all the people, all the soldiers and sailors that we have lost because they were there preserving the freedom that we have today. And we want to definitely honor those who were able to return and also think of those who never got to continue their life under that freedom that they fought so hard for. Rensselaer County has a long-standing tradition of honoring our vets throughout the year and not just on Veterans Day. One of the ways we pay our respect to our veterans is during this monthly Honor Deceased Veteran program and our Hall of Heroes, which is out in the hallway, out in the lobby coming in. This morning we are proud to be able to welcome the family of Robert Douglas Smith to the legislature as we honor his life and his service to the country, to our country. Robert Smith was born in Colony on April 14th, 1926. His parents, William Smith and Carrie Mae Rockenstar Smith, I hope I got that right. Robert attended elementary school in Colony and worked at Capital Plating Works after finishing school. Shortly after turning 17, he married his sweetheart, Shirley Dissaway. Less than 1 year later, and just before his 18th birthday, Robert enlisted in the U.S. Navy on March 20th, 1944, at a time when World War II was escalating overseas. Apprentice Seaman Smith spent 8 weeks at recruit training in Sampson, New York, near Oneonta, before being sent to Camp Shoemaker in Pleasanton, California. Seaman Robert Smith then served on the USS Taylor, a destroyer that played a critical role in the Battle of Leyte Gulf during the liberation of the Philippines. This battle, considered the largest naval battle in history, with over 200,000 naval personnel involved in the operation. This was also the first battle that the Japanese aircraft utilized their now notorious kamikaze attack, and Robert survived several of those attacks during his service on the USS Taylor. That's pretty amazing. The Battle of Leyte Gulf paralyzed the Japanese Navy as they suffered heavy losses of life and equipment. The Japanese would surrender soon after, and Seaman Second Class Smith was on board the USS Taylor as it was present at the surrender ceremony on the USS Missouri. The USS Taylor was the first destroyer to lay anchor in the Tokyo Bay and the second ship outward of the USS Missouri. On that historic day, all dignitaries crossed the main deck of the USS Taylor to participate in the signing of the peace treaty on September 2nd, 1945. What an incredible experience that must have been to see history being made before your eyes and also knowing this thing is over. A few days after celebrating the end of the war, Robert was sent to the USS Benevolence, a hospital ship that had treated casualties from the battles against Japan. It was there that Second Class Smith successfully underwent an emergency appendectomy. He was then transferred to the USS Taluga, a tanker vessel that delivered petroleum products to ships during the dangerous wartime battles. Robert Douglas Smith was honorably discharged from the U.S. Navy on February 27, 1946, at Lido Beach in Long Island, New York. For his valiant service, he was awarded the American Campaign Medal, the World War II Victory Medal, the Asiatic Pacific Campaign Medal, with 1 Silver Service Star and 1 Bronze Star, and the Philippine Liberation Medal with 1 Bronze Service Star, the Navy Meritorious Unit Commendation Ribbon, and the Combat Action Ribbon. Robert returned home to his family where he would raise 5 children: Robert, James, Ann, Donald, and Pamela. Robert worked as a truck driver and retired from Schaefer Brewing in Albany after many years as a Class A truck driver, hauling the once famous Schaefer beer throughout the area. Robert later spent 8 years as a machine repairman at Troy Built, near his hometown in Lansingburg. Robert enjoyed camping in Lake George area, hunting, fishing in his spare time. He was a proud member of the Teamsters Local 294, Brewery Workers 1015, and a life member of the National Tin Can Sailors Association. He was also past junior vice commander of the VFW Post 459. Sadly, Robert passed away in Troy on December 3, 1991. He was survived by several family members, many of which are here, which are great to see. On behalf of my fellow legislators, I would like to thank Robert's daughter, Pamela, for asking us to honor him here today. Robert was a member of the greatest generation, those people who were raised during the Great Depression. It was those folks who bravely served their country and protected our freedoms without seeking fanfare or glory. They quietly returned home to rebuild our greatest country and make it a beacon of freedom and prosperity. I want to thank you all at this time for allowing us to honor Robert Douglas Smith here today. And Tom Walsh has had my job here for 20 years and is on the County Honor Deceased Veterans Committee. So Colonel Walsh, if you want to say a couple of words.
Thank you, Ken. Thank you for letting me sit in for you there during the month there. And thank you, family members, for being here. And Jim, I worked with Jim at the Arsenal, and I was surprised to see him this morning. I didn't realize it was your dad. I'm very happy to be here to say a few words on him. I always bust on the Navy guys. I had one of the legislators that was in the Navy. We busted on each other a lot. It's almost as bad as the Army with the Marines. So, but anyway, he was on a destroyer. Am I got that right? And they had more of a support mission, and which kept them out of the main part of the war most of the time. But they did get hit with a lot of aircraft, and he was a gunner on that. So, and that's a very busy job. I don't know if I'd like that one, but thankful he come out of it all right, and the ship come out of it all right. I don't know, Ken mentioned about, we have our Hall of Heroes out there. We honored about 250 past vets on that wall out there, and all their names are there. And your father's name will be on there next year. And so he'll be remembered here forever, I hope. But anyway, I want to thank you, and thank you for letting me say a few words.
On behalf of the legislature, then, I'd like to present this commendation to you. Give it to Pamela, fellows. Sure.
Thank you, legislators. I will now ask Rensselaer County Executive Stephen McLaughlin to come forward.
Thank you, Tim. Good morning, everyone. It's a honor to be here to honor Robert Smith, and thank you all for being here. It's what a great biography. Ken did such a great job, but it's a pleasure to be here with our colleagues in state, federal, and county government. And when you listen to that bio, he really saw a lot at a very young age there in a short time frame, 2 years or so, and to be, I mean, just the witnessing of history and being part of that. And you think about, I think this might be the first time I've ever heard of anybody here at one of these ceremonies that was survived the kamikaze type attacks. I mean, that's an amazing piece of history, a brutal part of history. And then certainly part of the greatest generation to come home, like we see that over and over of that greatest generation where they just came home and went to work. That's all they knew how to do. And take off the uniform, go to work, and start building the country and build it into who we are today. And certainly there's some parallels here. He's born about the same time as my dad. My dad was over in Japan at the end of World War II as well. My grandfather was a Teamster. I think they all drank Schaefer beer. I remember that slogan, right? That's the one beer to drink when you're having more than one. So what a difference. It's basically celebrating a lot of drinking back then, right? It's just, I don't think you'd see that today, but that was a heck of a slogan. It stood the test of time, but he certainly raised a great family with a huge military tradition. So thank you for all your service as well. And big part of the county here, the Smith family, and we're certainly honored to be able to honor him today, and thank you for letting us do that. It's a great tribute to him and his service to the country, and to see all those medals. And he did his job well, and then came home and built a great life for himself with a great family. So thank you for letting us honor him today.
Thank you, Steve. I will now ask Manik Elia, representing Congressman Paul Tonko, and Max Prime, representing the 19th Congressional District, to come forward.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I said my name is Manik Elahi, here on behalf of Congressman Paul Tonko, who couldn't have the pleasure of attending today because of business in Washington, D.C. So I'm here, and to quote the Majority Leader, you get what you get. So, joining me also is Max Prime from the Office of the 19th Congressional District, a great colleague in federal government. Just here on behalf, again, of the Congressman to say thanks to you and Robert. What a great life led. And one of the things that I usually think about when I attend these ceremonies is one of the existential questions of humankind is, did my life matter? Was there value to what I did? And I think in Robert's case, the answer is a resounding yes. That's why everybody's gathered here today. So just again, really glad to be here on behalf of the Congressman who, in Robert's memory and his service to the country, requested that a flag be flown over our nation's capital. And how poetic is that? Because that capital represents the very democracy that Robert fought so hard to defend. Just really honored to present that to the family. And along with that, the Congressman has furnished a certificate under the seal of the United States Congress, recognizing Robert again for his service. So thank you again. Max, unless you have something to say, happy to present the flag.
Thank you, gentlemen. I will now ask Haley Northrup, representing New York State Senator Daphne Jordan, to come forward.
Good morning. Senator Jordan Ragesh couldn't be here today. She had a prior conflict, but I'm happy to be here on her behalf to present a New York State Senate resolution and the New York State Liberty Medal. The New York State Liberty Medal is the highest honor that a state senator can award an individual, and it recognizes the outstanding contributions they have made on behalf of their fellow New York State members. So Robert Smith is someone who served his entire life, served his country, served his community, serving overseas and coming back and working as part of the Teamsters and giving back to his fellow veterans as part of the VFW post. It is those kind of people who really are the fabric of our communities, and it is an honor to present this resolution and this Liberty Medal to the family to recognize Robert and all that he did for our country, for our community, and for his fellow veterans. So thank you.
Thank you, Haley. I will now ask New York State Assemblyman Jake Ashby to come forward.
Good morning. It's great to be with everyone this morning. It's great to see Congressman McNulty, and it's great to see the family here today as well. I'm glad I had a little bit of time because it took a while to get through the bio. It was a little long. And in regards to that, thinking about how much Robert went through in a short amount of time, and it was less than 2 years. Looking at that, it was nearly 2 years. All the engagements that he was in, and when you think about the Pacific Theater and what everything that happened there, he was present for a good portion of it on that ship, and starting in Leyte, Corregidor, and then ending in Japan, and then having to get an appendectomy at the end of it, and then coming back and being married for less than 3 years, and returning to that. That's a lot of life in a very short amount of time, and it's just remarkable when I hear stories like that. And the county executive alluded to it. You know, it's sometimes typical of that generation of what you see there, what they experienced, the volume of what they experienced in a short amount of time. I don't think is quite comprehensible to so many of us today. It's really hard to imagine. But then you see what's passed down afterwards to the generations, their families, how they conduct themselves, their traditions that are laid out there, and you can tell how meaningful that service has been and what it's meant to your family. So on behalf of myself and my colleague John McDonald in the New York State Assembly, I have a certificate here for you, and it's a pleasure and an honor to be with you today to honor him. Thank you.
Thank you, Jake. I'll now ask Dean Leparco of our Rensselaer County Honor Deceased Veteran Committee to present the plaque at this time. Will the committee members please rise? Please stand for the closing prayer. Retire the colors. and salute. Two. This concludes our Honor of Vet ceremony for this month. Thank you for coming to honor our deceased veteran of the month of July, Robert D. Smith. Please join us for our next Honor of Veteran ceremony scheduled for August 8th in honor of Samuel Abate. Before we go our separate ways, we'll take a few family photos. Then we will reassemble shortly at our county flagpole to raise the flag in Robert's memory. Thank you all again.